Somewhere in Yehai City, Daylight politely clocked in at the level 2 gathering spot. In consultation room 1, Dr. Zhao faced off with a guy named Jianyu, both pretending this wasn't awkward. While Jianyu rambled, Dr. Zhao mentally double-checked if he'd accidentally booked a comedy show instead of an eye exam. Zhao squinted harder than Jianyu's symptoms deserved, suspecting this wasn't some rare Zone X case, and asked for the symptom rerun. Jianyu dropped the groundbreaking news. His eyes felt weird. His eyes flared red like they just pulled an all-nighter with no regrets. Staring at Zhao, Jianyu casually mentioned his world came with a free red filter. The red filter refused to unsubscribe from Zhao, giving him villain vibes. Then, as if reality got bored, a health bar casually popped above Zhao's head. As the bar loaded like bad Wi-Fi, Zhao fired off the classic "How old are you?" as if that would explain things. Spotting the 18% glaring above Zhao, Jianyu blurted it out like an accidental text to the wrong group chat. Realizing words happened, Jianyu double-checked if they were still on the age topic or if reality had glitched. Zhao's patience packed its bags, wondering if he'd accidentally walked into the drama department instead of ophthalmology. Meanwhile, Jianyu had an existential crisis, debating if the red was blood and if 18% meant Zhao was dying or just really bad at life management. Zhao switched gears, asking about alcohol, and Jianyu responded like someone unsure if today was Tuesday or last year. Zhao's silence screamed louder than words, and Jianyu picked up on the vibe finally. Jianyu rebooted his brain with a quick headshake, hoping for better results. With the grace of a buffering video, he cleared his throat and tossed out an apology for being mentally offline. Zhao's frustration hit new levels, claiming Jianyu was a walking distraction. Giving up on sanity, Zhao chose to eyeball Jianyu the old-fashioned way, no filters, just regret. The eye exam finally began, though both knew the real problem wasn't just in the eyes. Zhao pried Jianyu's eyes open like they owed him money, directing the gaze right. Then, in a plot twist, Zhao ordered a leftward glance. Jianyu obeyed, proving he could follow basic instructions sometimes. Zhao's face did the universal "huh" expression, announcing the eyes were suspiciously normal. Jianyu closed his eyes, hoping that maybe, just maybe, the weirdness would uninstall itself. Plot twist: reopening his eyes revealed a free horror movie cameo in his pupils. Fast forward: hospital hallway, new scene, same weirdness. Jianyu scanned the crowd, probably rating people's health bars like Yelp reviews. Yep, the red filter was still living rent-free on everyone's health bars. Jianyu strolled down the hallway, casually unfazed. He smirked, convinced his newfound superpower made conjunctivitis irrelevant. Clearly, he'd leveled up. Yet, he couldn't shake the thought, what was the point of seeing a blood filter everywhere? Moments later, he strutted out of the hospital like he just aced a boss fight. On the street, an announcement blared about night patrols recruiting new members to keep things safe and sound. Apparently, they'd built a cozy survival haven only took 99 years post-apocalypse. Mutants were on the decline, and the future was looking bright for the mighty Zhou, at least. Meanwhile, Jianyu figured self-diagnosis could wait until he got home, no rush. Then, disaster struck. His shoelace betrayed him. He crouched, battling the rebellious lace into submission. Mid-knot, he froze. Something felt off. The world around him glitched like bad Wi-Fi. Everything turned matrix green as people and noises faded like buffering audio. The vibe shifted from casual stroll to full-on horror movie. Paralyzed with fear, he sweat like Wi-Fi during a storm. A shadowy figure loomed in his vision, closing in like a pop-up ad you can't skip. He glanced up, terror dialed to max. Yep, the moon was green now because why not? Bonus round: the city had gone full ghost town. Out of nowhere, a sword-wielding woman drop-kicked reality beside him. She sported a 93% health bar, hacking away at a monster stuck at 68%. Classic RPG showdown. Chaos unfolded as soldiers brawled with monsters like it was raid night. Jianyu assessed the situation. Yep, definitely above his pay grade. The green moon flexed a 999,999 health bar, and Jianyu decided now was the perfect time to panic. Then, glowing air bubbles floated down like cosmic confetti. Yep, straight from the sky, because the weirdness wasn't over yet. They descended gracefully, like ominous soap bubbles. Of course, some aimed right for Jianyu because he clearly hadn't had enough. They bonked his forehead, and reality decided to reboot. He respawned in the real world, mid-crosswalk, as if nothing happened except everything had. Someone played traffic guide, making sure an old man didn't turn into street art. The announcement hyped up the Night Patrol Bureau as humanity's MVP since the Great Cataclysm, claiming life had never been safer. Meanwhile, Jianyu stood frozen in the street, earning a "Mom, look at that NPC" from a passing kid. A merchant peddled totally legit medicine, slashing the price from 50k to 5k because nothing screams authenticity like a 90% discount. Jianyu kept walking, side-eyeing the city's so-called safety like a questionable Wi-Fi connection. The sun flexed a 999,999 HP bar, making him wonder if reality itself was running on DLC content. A tap on his shoulder yanked him back to reality, or whatever this was. The merchant popped up like an unskippable ad, pitching his medicine again. He proudly claimed his knockoff cure worked just as well as the real deal. Trust him, bro. Jianyu, mid-nose pick, wondered how the guy had the audacity to peddle meds in a city crawling with monsters. Did he think he was some kind of divine healer? The merchant, completely unfazed, assured him he had medicine for everything, probably even plot armor. Jianyu suggested a free sample policy, but the merchant stormed off, warning he'd regret passing on the deal. Not that monsters were even real, obviously. Jianyu caught up, telling him to chill, it was just a joke, then casually asked if he sold divine oil, because why not? Moments later, he was on a bus, contemplating his life choices. 3,000 for divine oil? Absolute scam. Reporting it sounded tempting. He stared out the window at an ordinary street, wondering why his paranoia was acting like a main character. The bus pulled up at a stop, business as usual. The announcement politely informed them they had reached Weinen Road. Translation: time to get off, folks. Then, that weird feeling hit again. The world glitched back into its green-tinted horror mode. He glanced around. Yep, people gone again. Deja vu much? Eyes wide, waiting for the horror to escalate, except the green was already fading. He scanned the area back to normal. Was this just another budget hallucination? He checked himself out. Maybe this was just puberty 2.0. As the bus rolled away, he noted the lingering ache, probably worth a self-diagnosis later. His home, conveniently named Dusk, loomed ahead. Fresh out of the shower, feeling slightly more human. One glance in the mirror and plot twist, a strange pattern was now on his chest. Examining it closer, he swore he'd seen this tattoo before. Memory loaded. Last time he saw this mark, it belonged to the person who smacked him. A rogue book had launched itself at him during a casual library visit. His chest pattern lit up like a glitchy game bug, catching him off guard. Dark vibes spilled out as he collapsed dramatically on his bathroom floor. He writhed in pain, mentally filing a complaint about the sudden heatwave. In a desperate move, he summoned the shower like it was his final boss weapon. Water hit the glowing mark, and instant relief washed over him. 10 out of 10 healing effect. The dark aura fizzled out, and the mirror proudly displayed his health bar at 100%. Surprised but satisfied, he chuckled. Finally, some overpowered stats. Moments later, his shadow decided to break physics and wiggled. It slithered off like it had better plans, catching his attention. He stared at the floor, confusion levels maxed out. Panic mode activated. Where did his shadow even go? He searched the bathroom like he misplaced his keys, except it was his shadow. Relief hit when he spotted it on the wall. Honestly, losing his shadow wouldn't even top today's weirdness. Ready to leave, he mentally gave the bath a 5-star Yelp review. Hand outstretched, aiming for freedom. Surprise guest, ominous shadow, right at the door. The shadow stared. He froze. Great start to this awkward encounter. They locked eyes, or whatever shadows have. He inspected it like it owed him rent. With hesitant steps, he exited the bathroom into the unknown. Acceptance hit because, of course, nothing's ever simple. His heart lit up like it subscribed to premium drama. Green aura? Back again. Pros: shadow didn't ditch him. Cons: it's definitely alive. They stood in an awkward vibe off, with Jianyu glowing ominously and clutching his chest. Cue dramatic lighting. It was evening. His home fell into the kind of silence that screamed something's up. Yep, shadow still alive. Not exactly comforting. Curiosity won. He mentally dared it to raise its left hand. It actually did it, leaving him amused and mildly concerned. Jianyu threw out a command for a right leg lift. The shadow obeyed, raising its leg like a glitchy NPC. A mischievous grin crept in as he silently observed his shadow puppet. Under the intense stare, the shadow radiated peak awkward energy. Without hesitation, the shadow broke into an awkward dance routine. His brain hit buffering mode, trying to process the shadow's sudden existence. Plot twist: his chest fired up like a surprise loot box. The glowing orb floated above like it unlocked a new skill. Symbols spun around the orb, resembling a cosmic slot machine. The orb kept spinning, milking the suspense. Jackpot, it landed on human, which felt oddly anticlimactic. A system panel popped up, revealing shadow stats. Jianyu's inner nerd cheered. Curiosity maxed out, he clicked the panel without hesitation. The panel spilled the tea. The shadow was his memory twin, synced stats, 0 brain power, and a potential gym buddy. He glanced at his shadow, still vibing like no one told it to stop. His hand phased right through. Turns out, the shadow was more hologram than homie. The shadow stared blankly, fully embracing its NPC status. Jianyu mentally wondered if it really had his entire brain archive. A simple nod confirmed yep, full memory download complete. He scrambled to his desk, hunting for the ultimate test. He whipped out a math problem, ready to flex some intellectual dominance. Declaring it summer homework, he handed the pen like it was a sacred relic. The shadow casually grabbed the pen, leaving Jianyu questioning physics. While the shadow wrote, Jianyu poked at it like a curious kid with jelly, still baffled by its semi-solid vibe. The shadow scribbled something, dropped the pen dramatically, and stared. He mentally questioned why the productivity meter suddenly hit 0. The shadow's entire flex? One smug word solved. Annoyed, he ranted about the uselessness of shared memories, attempted a paper smack, but it passed through like he was swatting a ghost. Recalling the panel's notes, he switched tactics. Forget math, just write the lesson. The shadow snapped into action, pen gliding like it had something to prove. The shadow scribbled furiously, leaving Jianyu questioning the point of superpowers when a cheating shadow could outscore him. Selling books sounded more practical. The thought of profit filled Jianyu's mind, his excitement practically steaming from his nose like a cartoon kettle. As the shadow kept scribbling, Jianyu's curiosity shifted to the attribute panel, wondering if there were more tricks hidden in plain sight. His finger instinctively hammered the attribute panel for answers. The screen flashed details about shadow devouring, revealing he could absorb darkness to boost himself or disintegrate lifeless objects. A grin crept across his face as he pondered whether devouring required touching objects directly or just their shadows. His eyes darted around, scanning for the perfect test subject. Without hesitation, he shuffled into the nearest shadowy corner. His hand stretched into the darkness, as if expecting magic to kick in. Confidence surged as he assumed this was the textbook method for devouring darkness. He flailed his hand with the enthusiasm of a malfunctioning magician. Nothing happened. Frustration bubbled up, realizing his power set didn't include a beginner's guide, let alone a troubleshooting manual. His gaze snapped back to the panel, now highlighting a skill called Shadow Pupil. The description hinted that his eyes had evolved, unlocking a view into the dark side of the world with options to watch or step right in. The dark side sounded eerily familiar, but instead of rushing in, he opted for a cautious, step-by-step approach. His palm became the canvas for a sudden stroke of inspiration. Putting the shadow's academic hustle on pause, he signaled for a quick fitness test with some push-ups. The shadow responded with a silent nod, exuding an eerie obedience. A sinister grin spread across its face as it melted seamlessly into the floor. It oozed into the ground, blending with the darkness like a puddle fading into asphalt. Soon, it vanished completely, leaving no trace behind. Panic set in as Jianyu scrambled to figure out where his shadow had disappeared. His head whipped around frantically, desperate to summon the missing shadow back. A swirling portal of darkness materialized out of nowhere, pulsing with ominous energy. Emerging from the portal, the shadow reappeared like nothing had happened. Jianyu's bewildered expression screamed one question: where had it been? The shadow casually jotted down its location report somewhere deep in the dark side. His confused glare begged for an explanation, only to learn the shadow had been squeezing in some shadow side workouts. Dismissing the shadow, he mulled over the efficiency of dark side training as an upgrade strategy. The shadow acknowledged with another silent nod, effortlessly mysterious. The shadow melted into the floor like spilled ink vanishing into cracks. The last wisp slithered through floor gaps, dramatic till the very end. Jianyu exhaled, relieved the shadow wasn't planning a sequel. He plopped at his desk, gripping a digital pen like it owed him money. Determination kicked in time to pretend productivity was his hobby. Morning arrived, with birds minding their business outside Jianyu's lair. Meanwhile, his computer had front row seats to his snoring concert. Face planted on the desk, Jianyu drooled and chuckled like sleep was his full-time job. Mumbled food names spilled out mid-slumber, with urgent demands for a pen to sketch his imaginary feast. A knock shattered the dream buffet, yanking him back to reality. Stretching like a creaky old chair, he cursed stomach sleeping as the persistent knocking demanded his attention. Shuffling to the door, he grumbled about early morning emergencies being overrated. Cracking the door open revealed Lu Yaoyao, childhood friend, classmate, and unofficial president of his fan club. His brain screeched to a halt. Something was off. Her health bar dipped slightly, sparking a silent internal panic. A glance at the calendar flipped the light bulb on mystery solved. He barely muttered a "why so early?" before she zoomed past like he was furniture. She demanded he hustle, reminding him of last night's grand declaration about starting a new drawing. Her eyes sparkled with expectation. Designs were owed, and she came to collect. A door slam behind her nearly launched her soul into orbit. Turns out, the door slam was Jianyu's doing. She scolded. He stood speechless, like a kid caught with cookie crumbs. The door frame now sported a crack, courtesy of his Hulk moment. Frozen in confusion, his brain buffering, he missed Lu Yaoyao's calls entirely. Her expression flipped from annoyed to shocked. New discovery unlocked. His gaze followed hers, landing squarely on his own body. Cue confusion. Muscles had appeared overnight, toned like he'd been secretly bench-pressing planets. Trembling with disbelief, she mentally filed an urgent report. Possible gym membership detected. Reality hit. This was the same couch potato Jianyu, and his new muscles broke all laws of laziness. Her finger went straight for the bicep, needing physical proof this wasn't CGI. Leaning in closer, she poked his chest, silently screaming, "What the heck did he do?" Jianyu claimed daily bookshelf lifting was his secret, but Lu Yaoyao lifted his shirt for a fact check. He babbled about recent workouts, secretly thinking his shadow deserved the credit for the gains. Shock hit when she went full detective, yanking his shirt for a muscle inspection. Faces flushed. She called him out, convinced abs like those needed more than casual stretches. She launched into a lecture, citing her dad's cases about mysterious stuff better left untouched. He rolled his eyes, mentally awarding her the most words per minute trophy. Without warning, her hand shot out like she was about to perform a magic trick. She twisted his arms like a pro wrestler, while he panicked, convinced she was about to pull out a weapon. Plot twist: she whipped out a wristwatch instead of a dagger. She slapped it on his wrist, declaring it a pollution detector while he questioned his life choices. She stared at the watch like it held the secrets of the universe, rambling about alien murder and emotional toxins. Apparently, unchecked pollution led to humans turning into glitchy nightmare versions of themselves. He smirked, thinking, "No way this chest emblem is dirty, it's literally my glow-up badge." Plot twist number 2: the watch beeped like it found buried treasure right on his chest. She drew a gun faster than Wi-Fi drops, and he instantly regretted all his life decisions. Teeth clenched, he mentally begged his body to stop acting suspicious. Thankfully, the watch chilled out like it never had beef with him. She twirled the gun like it was a baton, claiming all was fine. He chuckled awkwardly, noting she still had a gun aimed at him. He exhaled like he just dodged an emotional bullet plus the real one. She credited her over-the-top caution to her dad's survival tips, clearly taking notes too well. Desperate for a vibe shift, he dropped the "I drew cool stuff" card. She went from armed detective to fangirl in 0.2 seconds, leaving him speechless. He tried to roast her enthusiasm, calling her a hyper-toddler in disguise. She yelled back, fully embracing her inner toddler, demanding art now. Later, flopped on his bed, he sighed, marveling at his narrow escape from both danger and emotional damage. He lazily tapped his system panel, hoping it had less drama than his day. The system cheerfully reported his shadow had been grinding XP in the dark realm, casually buffing his stats. Surprise hit: his shadow was basically a gym rat pulling all-nighters. Dark aura swirled, adding some ominous flair to his post-nap vibes. Oh, and bonus: a shadow decided to dramatically rise from the floor, no big deal. Jianyu summoned his shadow like it was a Wi-Fi signal, rising right from the floor. Impressed by last night's shadow gains, Jianyu decided basic workouts were too mainstream and cranked up the difficulty. The shadow was hyped, ready to turn Jianyu's wild fitness plans into reality. Loving the shadow's energy, Jianyu tossed out orders for push-ups and planks like a boot camp drill sergeant. The shadow obeyed, nailing 2-finger push-ups, regular ones, and even threw in a tiger pose for extra flair. Jianyu announced the next-level martial arts moves mixed with standing exercises called the human banner, basically shadow gymnastics. Squats entered the chat, courtesy of Jianyu's next command. Not done yet, he spiced things up with Spider-Man crawls, leg lifts, weighted sprints, and ab workouts that screamed core meltdown. Outside, Lu Yaoyao played detective, eavesdropping like it was her part-time job. Hearing actual workouts, she sighed in relief, realizing she'd been overthinking Jianyu's mysterious behavior. Convinced he was fine, she ditched the drama, mentally fast-forwarding to her comic stash waiting at home. Year 99, January 20th, day 1 with the shadow. Jianyu took his new gym buddy vibes outside for a jog. While the shadow went full beast mode overnight, Jianyu felt zero tiredness but stronger anyway, though he found that embarrassingly lazy. January 21st, Jianyu doubled down, scheduling more shadow sweat sessions. Spoiler alert: the shadow's gains were off the charts. Mid-workout, Jianyu drifted into dark thoughts, wondering if he could one-punch Lu Yaoyao. Realizing he couldn't, he figured it was grind time. Uncle Lee dropped by, blissfully unaware of Jianyu's mental power rankings, where he rated himself capable of one-punching 3 Uncle Lees and 10 Lu Yaoyaos. January 23rd, Jianyu vowed to stop slacking because lying around wouldn't unlock superpowers. January 24th, the shadow kept hustling while Jianyu supervised from the comfort of his bed. January 25th Shadow trained Jianyu, busy laughing at memes. January 26th Jianyu heroically did 10 whole push-ups, then left the rest to his overachieving shadow. Later, Jianyu checked his shadow stats like it was a video game. He squinted at the slow progress 8 shadow points. That's it, lame. At that rate, hitting 10 points felt like grinding for XP in a game with no end. Maybe, just maybe, going full dark mode would speed things up. Cue dramatic effects. A dark aura sucked Jianyu into the floor like it was glitching reality. Eyes shut, he sank deeper like this was totally normal. Poof, he was gone, leaving behind shadowy breadcrumbs. Meanwhile, Jianyu drifted through an all-black void, the ultimate aesthetic. When he opened his eyes, plot twist, he was back in his room, or was he? Jianyu squinted into the darkness, baffled that the dark side was basically his room in emo mode. He bravely stepped into the budget version of his own room. Suddenly, he found himself strolling down an eerily empty street, questioning reality. He celebrated his escape like it was the final boss level in a game. His victory was short-lived when he realized the whole place had major ghost town vibes. Flashback to him wrestling with a door that refused to cooperate, like it had trust issues. He wiped his forehead dramatically, realizing the dark side had strict entry requirements. As he explored, he noted that this place felt suspiciously real, like a knockoff reality. Mid-rant about life's unfairness, a shadow popped up uninvited like a jump scare. The shadow lunged at him with zero chill. Hovering ominously, the shadow clearly didn't come for small talk. Jianyu sensed a vibe and hoped it wasn't homicidal. He glanced back, internally screaming, friend or foe? This shadow had dental issues, razor-sharp teeth that screamed bad intentions. Armed with a scythe and nightmare-fuel eyes, it sprinted at him like rent was due. Shocked and not ready to die, Jianyu unleashed a flurry of panicked curses. Thankfully, he dodged like his life depended on it, because it did. The shadow hit him with an unsettling glare, like he owed it money. It kept attacking, he kept dodging and cursing like an Olympic event. Desperate, he summoned his shadow circle like it was his emergency exit. He dove headfirst into the shadow circle, shadow hot on his heels. Cue the dramatic transition through the void of nothingness. He crash-landed back into his room, face first, because grace is overrated. He inspected the damaged pants, shredded, but safe. Terrified but relieved, fashion crisis avoided. He mentally filed a complaint about terrifying shadows with no explanation or customer service. He did a full body check like a paranoid hypochondriac, grateful for his unexpected flexibility upgrade, courtesy of past training sessions. Armed himself with a metal chair because clearly, it's WWE now. Declared the shadow an idiot with a personal vendetta, no mercy, only chair foo. January 28th marked his first epic shadow battle and his first L. January 29th round 2 of revenge ended with cracked ribs, colorful curses, and a renewed vendetta against the shadow. January 30th triple but scratches painful and a tragic 6% HP drop. Dignity? Also scratched. January 31st homebound recovery with Lu Yaoyao playing the concerned nurse while Jianyu played the professional patient. Lu Yaoyao questioned the mysterious injuries. Jianyu, with peak masculinity, claimed scars were his battle medals. She grinned, poked his bruised ego and literal bruises, questioning if battle medals counted when located on the butt, cueing Jianyu's dramatic wails. She pointed out that while he clearly felt pain, his ego had bulked up faster than his muscles. Mid-complaint, Jianyu remembered there was only a month left, and casually tossed the existential question her way. Lu Yaoyao blinked in confusion, clearly missing the countdown memo. He clarified it was about the martial arts test and double-checked like an overconfident student, pretending he totally remembered the assignment. That year hit the cultural scene like a wrecking ball, leaving artists at society's bargain bin. Entertainment flopped while night guards skyrocketed to celeb status, proving nothing beats real-life action heroes. The key to stardom? A state-sanctioned martial arts exam. Pass it, and kiss ordinary life goodbye. Back at Jianyu's recovery HQ, Lu Yaoyao continued her unofficial nurse duties. Plot twist: Lu Yaoyao admitted she wasn't into the whole martial arts exam gig, leaving Jianyu genuinely shook. She hesitated, lips pursed like the words were fighting to stay hidden. With a deep breath, she confessed forget punches, she wanted to jam. Music was her vibe. Jianyu, the embodiment of chill, shrugged it off, go for it, then casually wondered if Uncle Lee was the roadblock. Mentally, Jianyu nodded in silent agreement. Uncle Lee's a big night watch boss, so yeah, not vibing with the ditched martial arts for music plan made sense. Lu Yaoyao paused mid-ointment application, Jianyu's question hitting harder than his actual injuries. She clarified Uncle Lee wasn't the issue, leaving Jianyu mentally flipping through plot twists he didn't expect. Jianyu pieced it together she hadn't told anyone. Her response? Blame the law. Classic. Apparently, as long as you met the criteria, Martial arts exams were mandatory. No escape, even for music lovers. Jianyu was shook no more follow your dreams policy. It was all fight or, well, fight. She sighed, explaining night watch pressure was off the charts, so unless meteors fell, she was stuck with the exam. Jianyu remembered her sad little instruments from the other day close to making music, but not quite there. He worried too many small details on test day. Also, pretty sure the night guard wasn't acing their gun handling either. Anxiety kicked in. Would his not-so-reliable guide accidentally land him on the fail list? Brainwave alert, Jianyu had an idea. He wondered if her last batch of reagents could fend off aliens. Nope, strictly for detection. Encounter a nasty one? Run, call for help, and hope you don't die. Just to be sure, he double-checked different kind? Yep, she confirmed. He went quiet, anxiety painted all over his face, making Lu Yaoyao raise an eyebrow in curiosity. Just as Lu Yaoyao announced his wounds were healed and prepped to leave, Jianyu cleared his throat, fishing for her family's paranormal cheat codes. She teased if he was planning on going full paranormal detective, but he shot back a reminder it's mandatory martial arts season, and knowing stuff early was just good prep. She squinted, leaning in like a detective in a crime drama, making him jump and swear it was true. Plus, bonus points, he had a superhuman alien blood comic idea brewing. Her eyes sparkled like she just found hidden treasure, demanding the comic scoop, leaving him baffled that his offhand idea hit her like a plot twist. He launched into his story pitch: a scrawny kid named Ben, bullied at school but oozing kindness, lands in the Night Watch's Super Warrior project thanks to an army of supportive nice people. Ben gets a superhero glow up with a super serum, transforming from awkward teen to Captain Ben, leader extraordinaire. Captain Ben's heroic gig, fancy parties and schmoozing with rich folks until Alien's Gate crashed with a pink skull and a suspiciously shiny blue cube. Lu Yaoyao was all ears, eyes sparkling, while Jianyu got weirdly into storytelling mode, loving the attention. She led him into another room with a casual get-in-here vibe. Turns out it was her house, just down the street. She told him to chill while she raided her dad's stash. Left alone, Jianyu's nosy instincts kicked in. His eyes darted around, mentally rating her decor. Something caught his attention, a potential treasure, or a disaster waiting to happen. The culprit? A book with a cover screaming, "Open me!" He picked it up, read the title Destiny Space, featuring questionable sibling vibes, and mentally judged her reading choices. She turned tomato red, snatched the book like it was radioactive, and claimed it was her friend's, totally unread. Sure. As she bolted, she warned him not to touch anything else. He nodded like an obedient kid, but mischief was loading. He chuckled inwardly, realizing she still had zero defenses against nosy people like him. Spotting a dusty guitar, nostalgia hit Lu Yaoyao's lifelong music obsession. She nagged him to listen to her concerts back then, even when his soul craved silence. He pressed play on an old cassette, unleashing vintage tunes like it was a sacred ritual. The music dragged him down memory lane, packed with cringy yet heartwarming flashbacks. Mid-smile, eyes shut, he got jump-scared by a voice asking when he became a music lover. He rubbed his eyes, realizing he'd accidentally power-napped. Lu Yaoyao stood there, roasting him for not knowing a guitar from a ukulele. She yeeted a VR headset at him. He fumbled but caught it, asking if she found the goods. She told him to slap it on and see for himself. No questions asked, he slapped the VR on like a pro. A beep confirmed liftoff, VR mode engaged. He sat like a Zen master, waiting for the digital magic to kick in. And boom, sucked into a digital vortex like he just unlocked a boss level. Jianyu blinked awake, slightly dazed. Floating in the void, he froze under the creepy gaze of countless floating eyeballs. Scanning the eerie emptiness, he questioned if this was the Abyss, low-key impressed by VR's realism. The Abyss, he recalled, was basically the universe's do not enter folder brimming with taboo vibes. Alien species spawned there, thriving on chaos like it's their full-time job. Spotting ominous shapes, he squinted, wondering if these were the same creeps from the hospital. A crack in space jogged his memory. Between their world and the Abyss lurked the Shadow Layer, the universe's sketchy basement where aliens sneak in despite bouncers like the Night Guardian. Curiosity won, and he slipped through the crack. He landed somewhere entirely new, great, more weirdness. It resembled the city, but he remembered the Shadow Layer hits the reset button bi-monthly, like bad reality TV reruns. Alien infestations spike after resets, but top-tier fighters avoid it since visibility drops to 3.5 meters, basically fighting blind unless you're OP. Surveying the gloom, he noted the pollution levels where nightmare fuel stay too long, and you might mutate. Oddly, Kai Tong had strolled in before without batting an eye. A hulking shadow flexed ominously behind him. His fight or flight kicked in as he whipped around. Before panic settled, a heavenly laser obliterated the shadow. The blast lit up the gloom like a rave, catching the attention of every lurking shadow. Shielding his face from the explosion debris, he regretted not wearing goggles. A disembodied voice casually dropped, "Alien fighting 101 matched power with power." A faceless figure appeared, radiating fire vibes, basically screaming, "Be extraordinary or get wrecked." Starstruck, Jian Yu mentally fangirled over the figure's glow-up, wondering if martial arts exams came with a look cool bonus. The figure ignored him, dropping the plot twist: most extraordinary folks are aliens cosplaying as humans. Energy control had side effects, like creepy black goo slowly eating you alive, as demonstrated. The goo wasn't shy, it fused right in like uninvited glitter at a party. Wrapped in goo, the figure dropped wisdom: being extraordinary is basically fighting cosmic cooties 24/7. The goo wiggled ominously as the figure warned, "Dead extraordinaires often come back, different." Cue horror, its hands morphed into giant claws. Jian Yu's soul nearly left his body as the clawed nightmare advised, burning out gloriously before dying. The final boss transformation complete, it towered over Jian Yu menacingly. Just as the tension peaked, blackout. Classic. Gasping, Jian Yu yeeted the VR off, startling Lu Yaoyao, who wasn't expecting that level of drama. Lu Yaoyao's curiosity hit a wall when Jian Yu brushed her off, claiming it was nothing, despite the obvious data overload. Jian Yu shamelessly requested a back massage, earning an annoyed glare from Lu Yaoyao as if her ears betrayed her. He swiftly bribed her with 3 Ultra HD drawings, dangling them like a pro negotiator. She agreed faster than she'd admit, her face screaming regret while her hands sealed the deal. Mid-massage, she questioned his rock-hard neck, prompting him to flex his fitness and offer his abs like a proud exhibit. Just as she inspected his abs like a quality check, the door flew open, shattering the moment. Uncle Lu appeared, radiating enough rage to qualify as a fire hazard upon witnessing the scene. Cue the awkward dinner, where silence screamed louder than words. Jian Yu dared a side glance at Uncle Lu mid-chew, testing fate. Panic set in as Uncle Lu flashed his teeth, not a smile, just pure intimidation. Lu Yaoyao offered meat like a peace treaty, silently pleading for a misunderstanding clause. Uncle Lu questioned reality itself, leaving Lu Yaoyao's brain buffering for answers. Red-faced, she passed the verbal hot potato to Jian Yu. Jian Yu fumbled, calling Uncle Lu dad, then pivoted into self-punishment mode with 3 dramatic gulps. Their faces froze in horror as Jian Yu downed his drink, declaring himself ready for judgment like a dramatic martyr. Uncle Lu's forehead veins formed a roadmap of fury, fully on board with Jian Yu's bold proposal. The table flipped, compliments flew with a side of death threats, and Jian Yu sprinted for his life, haunted by childhood flashbacks. Reflecting mid-escape, Jian Yu mused how opposites attract, her grace versus his chaos. To the world, he was notorious. She was the picture of poise, a classic misfit duo. Yet somehow, she found his nonsense entertaining since day one. She even engaged in epic pea-throwing contests like it was an Olympic sport. Maybe it was that one heroic moment, or she just admired his overinflated ego. He played the hero, facing down bullies with dramatic flair. Meanwhile, she sobbed in the background, adding to the cinematic effect. He battled like a budget action star, fueled by pride. Even when he faked being homeless for laughs, she stuck around, proof of true friendship or poor judgment. Uncle Lu delivered life lessons via smackdowns, while Lu Yaoyao got the stay away from bad influences speech. Back to reality, Uncle Lu's glare confirmed Jian Yu's lifelong suspicion he was never on the approved list. Uncle Lu's rage remained on standby, his glare doing all the talking. He reached for a cigarette, as if nicotine could tame the storm brewing within. Lu Yaoyao flipped the script, throwing daggers with her eyes. Uncle Lu's brain short-circuited as Lu Yaoyao yoinked the cigarette like a pro. His glare shifted to Jian Yu, silently demanding an explanation for his existence. Jian Yu, channeling full in-turn energy, nervously reported his alien hunting side quest. Uncle Lu shot a glance at Lu Yaoyao, silently asking, "Is this clown serious?" Lu Yaoyao dodged the question with expert-level mischief and a face that screamed guilty. Uncle Lu sighed like a man who realized he'd created his own monster. Mood switch, Uncle Lu's face went from sitcom dad to military-grade serious. He hit Jian Yu with a pop quiz. Guess why the government gatekeeps alien lore? Jian Yu blinked, buffering, then admitted he had no clue. Uncle Lu dropped a TED talk on soul mechanics, basically saying, humans are fragile, don't mess with cosmic spoilers. Jian Yu listened like a student, realizing this wasn't going to be on the exam. Uncle Lu added, oh, and aliens love a good soul crack, prime real estate for mind games. Moral of the story: no gym membership, no ghost hunting license. Jian Yu's face said, regret level unlocked, as Uncle Lu described superpowers like an unpaid internship, long, hard, and not glamorous. Uncle Lu basically said, even with training wheels, people crash, don't be that guy, capice? Jianyu nodded like a kid, promising not to touch the cookie jar, fully planning to touch it anyway. But then Jianyu hit back with, yeah, but apocalypse vibes are in, and self-reliance is the trend. Uncle Lu geared up for a lecture but got ambushed by his phone's dramatic ringtone. On the other end, Commander, we've got a shadow tier situation. Like, no biggie. Uncle Lu's response? Cool, calm, on my way, like it was a pizza delivery. Before leaving, he gave Jianyu the classic be good or else death glare, no subtweeting needed. Jianyu's confidence nearly made Lu Yaoyao choke, literally on sheer disbelief. Lu Yaoyao attacked his cheeks like they owed her money, demanding an explanation for the again slip-up. Meanwhile, the city thrived, oblivious to the chaos brewing elsewhere. One kid lived his best life with a sugar-coated skewer, unbothered. Somewhere else, eyes locked onto a monitor featuring the Sunset Watch squad. Plot twist: it was Jianyu, multitasking between grocery runs and casual existential research. He sighed, fully aware Uncle Lu's classified probably meant never seeing daylight. Translation: that intel was getting buried deeper than his social life. Jianyu's grocery mission got interrupted by an unexpected phone call. Lu Yaoyao's voice barked orders for eggs and milk, then bailed on adding more like it was top secret. Moments later, Jianyu found himself in the pad aisle, questioning life choices. Grabbing 2 packs, he mentally sighed, thinking Lu Yaoyao could have just said it without the dramatic pause. Time skipping like a pro, Jianyu was already en route home. He mused about shadow exercises leveling up, with only a month left before school started. Clearly, shadow workouts weren't cutting it. He needed to spice things up with real action. On the flip side, Jianyu's brain refused to chill. Alien fighting ads were basically trending now. Even the martial arts exam got clout, pulling in more students than usual. He glanced at the sky, as if it owed him answers. The moon got gobbled by dark clouds, and Jianyu got an ominous vibe like world-ending bad. Shrugging off doomsday thoughts, he stretched, deciding evolution through alien brawls was the move. He scanned the area, just in case life decided to throw hands. Dark aura? Summoned. Floor? Swirling like it had choreography. The aura went full dramatic mode, wrapping around him like a moody blanket. And boomed straight into the dark side. No, are you sure? Confirmation needed. A random 14% health bar popped up, triggering instant gamer panic. Footsteps echoed, and Jianyu's fight or flight system hit max alert. A shadowy figure emerged, dramatically strutting into Jianyu's personal space. Closer inspection revealed the dude was basically Swiss cheese with extra injuries. His eyes screamed no thoughts, head empty, while his face cracked like bad pottery. Jianyu did the sensible thing, stepped back like nope. Wait, plot twist, it's his neighbor. Cue internal monologue, bro, why are you here? No response needed. The guy face planted onto concrete, problematically. Jianyu stood there, brain buffering, silently observing the human pancake. Caution level maxed out. Trust level non-existent. Because nothing says concern like watching someone's health bar like it's the stock market. Plot twist number 2: 2 kids popped up with a bonus floating shadow. Oh great, it's his least favorite recurring enemy now with a smug 24% health bar. Jianyu blinked, not expecting that plot twist. The shadow hovered like it had nothing better to do, glaring right back at Jianyu. Jianyu's face screamed, "Is this your fault?" without needing words. Earlier, a man shuffled down the street, mentally drafting his resignation letter to life. He'd signed up for night duty expecting chill vibes and fat paychecks, but life hit him with overtime and regrets. Then shadows slithered by, dragging screams like it was their job. 2 kids were the unwilling VIP passengers of this shadow Uber, screaming for a refund. Panic mode activated. Was this an alien trap? But then, logic kicked in. Wait, how did they even glitch into reality like that? The kids reached out dramatically like they were auditioning for a tragic movie scene. The man did his best superhero leap, minus the cape. His face said, "Hold on, I got you," while his brain whispered, this was not in the job description. Somehow, he grabbed both kids, defying both gravity and common sense. Plot twist: the rescue mission had a buy one, get one free clause, and he got dragged in 2. His teeth did the clenching, his soul did the screaming. His expression downgraded from mildly annoyed to existential crisis. They crash-landed into the dark side, one man groaning, one kid confused, and one kid auditioning for a crying contest. Reality check hit hard. No gear, no weapons, just vibes and poor life choices. Cue the horror soundtrack as another shadow glided in, triggering kid-level panic. His glare said, "Not today," but his clenched jaw said, "Maybe today." One well-timed kick sent the shadow flying, proving frustration is an underrated superpower. A bonus kick for good measure. Shadow defeated, ego boosted. The kids poked shadow bits like curious cats, while the man realized their exit door had ghosted them. His brain loaded the what now program in awkward silence. Mental note: aliens are everywhere, and office life has officially deleted his combat skills. As if things weren't bad enough, he had 2 sidekicks with 0 battle stats. The kids hit peak meltdown, chanting the universal anthem of the lost "I wanna go home." Solution unlocked: hit the distress signal and pray someone's on the other end. One dramatic button press later, the SOS was live. He handed the watch over, basically saying, "Here, hold the plot device. I'll figure out the hero stuff." His game plan? Let the kids handle the tech while fate handled the rest. Solid strategy. The girl found peace staring at the watch like it held the answers to life, while the boy side-eyed the man, doubting his hero resume. Spotting a shadow sneaking up, the man flashed a suspiciously calm smile, casually suggesting the kids play hide and seek until backup arrived. As the shadow lunged, he reassured the kids he just had a minor inconvenience to punch in the face real quick. His brain decided it was flashback o'clock, reminiscing about acing the military strength exam at 18 like it was peak life achievement. Freshman year was all grind, no glory, dreaming of fighter status while battling textbooks instead of monsters. Sophomore flex: he KO'd an unclassified alien, which sounded cooler than it probably was. He basked in past glory, then turned around to reality, which wasn't clapping for him. Horror dawn: turns out defeating one alien wasn't a lifetime achievement award. Watching his peers yeet giant monsters, he had the crushing epiphany that effort was overrated, talent had VIP access. Gasping like cardio betrayed him, he wrapped up his existential crisis workout. Despite flipping fate the metaphorical bird, reality won. He downgraded from wannabe warrior to night shift moral support. Fast forward, he was now wrapping his fists, clearly about to argue with his problems using punches. A few awkward sidesteps counted as warming up because why not? Ready-ish, he squared up to shadow box with an actual shadow. Noticing the shadow's 4 eyes and limbs, he mentally labeled it advanced mid-tier nightmare fuel. The shadow screeched, dropping surprise meat like it had snacks mid-battle. The man's face screamed, "Why is there meat?" as if that was the weirdest part. Gravity did its thing. The meat hit the floor with 0 dramatic flair. Shadow charged, fist replied standard chaotic greetings. He pulled off a fancy spin move, probably unnecessary but stylish. Adding flair, he launched into the air for an uppercut, because regular punches were too basic. The punch landed, and the shadow's screech confirmed it wasn't a fan. His grin screamed, "Oh yeah, violence missed this," like it was a nostalgic hobby. Suddenly, panic mode activated. Something was definitely off. The shadow's arms stretched like cursed taffy, slamming him into a wall like unpaid rent. He hit the ground, trying to pretend it was a tactical kneel. Mentally dodging worked great, too bad his body didn't get the memo. Surprise! The shadow went full turbo, lunging like it wanted a rematch. He attempted to dodge, resembling a malfunctioning dance routine. Gasping for air, he felt like he'd been hit with invisible needles, or maybe just the crushing weight of poor life choices. He spun around, clearly deciding running was overrated. Fist clenched, he figured procrastination wasn't an option anymore. With a dramatic arm swing, he channeled his inner rage into a punch. He unleashed his signature move, Shadow Power Blindness, because naming attacks is mandatory. The shadow shrieked like it had just stepped on Lego. He leapt and served another blindness special straight to the shadow's face, no refunds. He sighed dramatically, realizing he was exhaling dark energy probably not FDA approved. Teeth clenched, he reflected that superpowers came with side effects like existential pollution. Good thing he's a part-time hero now. The shadow threw a tantrum, clearly not a fan of surprise attacks. Both sprinted at each other like it was the final boss battle, and he knew holding back wasn't on today's menu. Plot twist: the shadow sidestepped like it had just unlocked agility mode. It groaned, possibly annoyed by the cardio. Then sucker punched him right in the gut rude. He flew backward like gravity had an attitude. Mid-fall, he flipped to ensure a feet-first landing because concussions aren't fun. Spitting blood, he glared like his eyes were personally offended. Watching the shadow adapt to his moves, he mentally cursed, how did a mid-tier menace get this good? Martial arts freshman could have handled this. Blocking yet another hit, he had a realization maybe talent beats hard work, and yeah, this wasn't winnable. Still dodging and blocking, he figured retreat wasn't an option, night cop pride and all. The kids trembled on the sidelines while he realized his current strategy was basically stall and pray. Cue dramatic blood splatter. His eyes went wide, this wasn't part of the plan. Jaw clenched, he processed the sharp pain. Yep, that's a blade in his shoulder. The shadow used its blade-turned handle to slam him like a human ragdoll. Lying there, he considered the classic wait for backup plan, solid choice. Staring at the shadow, he had a casual existential crisis. Is this it? His brain threw a flashback because nothing says near death like childhood trauma. He mentally scrolled through life choices, remembering his decision to join the military at 18. Great timing. He recalled flunking out of the combat department at 20, which felt oddly relevant now. By 21, he'd become a night cop, just an ordinary guy in an extraordinary mess, wondering how this became his life. A century of human-monster beef wasn't all sunshine and treaties, sometimes it was just cardio. He pondered how anyone could stay optimistic when the sky looked like a goth's mood board. He cracked a grin, realizing death was just another Tuesday for the superpowered squad. He fished around in his pocket like it held life's answers. Popping a suspiciously blue pill, he figured he had some unfinished business. His mission: protect the flute, even as his eyes turned into discount Halloween decorations. Swiping blood off his face, he mentally labeled the shadow as an absolute jerk. Rising dramatically, he radiated enough dark energy to power an emo concert. He flashed a villain-worthy grin, hyped for round 2. Fueled by sheer stubbornness, he mentally screamed, "Go, loser, go!" Bracing for impact, he met the lunging shadow with the energy of someone who's had enough. He let out a battle cry that was 50% rage, 50% pure vibes. The shadow went full fruit ninja, but he matrix dodged with impressive airtime. Mid-leap, he delivered a flying kick straight to the shadow's self-esteem. The shadow stumbled back while he stuck the landing like a budget superhero. His fist glowed ominously because plain punches are too basic. He punched like his life depended on it, probably because it did. Mid-barrage, he decided quitting was overrated and kept going. His body lagged like bad Wi-Fi, but he powered through. Despite the glitchy movements, he thought, one more round won't kill me, probably. His fist hit the pause button against his will. He froze mid-action, wobbling like a Jenga tower on its last block. The shadow capitalized, decking him hard enough to qualify for air miles. He ricocheted off a wall like an overconfident pinball. Face down in his own blood puddle, he realized his powers came with a hefty receipt. Teeth clenched, he admitted defeat reluctantly. Just as he accepted his boring life's grand finale, surprise footsteps interrupted the pity party. Enter Jianyu, casually roasting the shadow like it missed curfew. He squinted at Jianyu, confused, too young to be a night watchman, too weird to be normal, suspicion levels maximum. Jianyu propped him up like a broken action figure and basically said, "Chill, I got this." The man squinted at Jianyu, recalling how the dark side was tighter than a VIP club, no randoms allowed. He briefly thought Jianyu was some dark side legend until the shadow yeeted him like a rag doll. Jianyu hit the ground with all the grace of a dropped phone. Watching that, the man mentally downgraded Jianyu from mysterious powerhouse to fragile being. As the man processed this plot twist, the shadow prepped for a surprise stabby. Out of nowhere, a hand swooped in, ready to bless the shadow with a slap of destiny. The slap landed with the force of unpaid bills, right across the shadow's face. The shadow's health bar plummeted to 23%, as if that slap carried emotional damage too. Plot twist: it was Jianyu, back on his feet, fueled by pure, unfiltered rage. With 73% health left, Jianyu brandished a soy sauce bottle like it was Excalibur, still calling the shadow little boy like a petty champ. Meanwhile, the dark side hit its moody aesthetic phase with the green moon glowing overhead. Jianyu danced around the shadow's attacks like he had dodge mechanics on easy mode. He waved the soy sauce bottle like it owed him money. Then he went full rage mode, smashing the bottle on the shadow like it was a piñata. The shadow wasn't having it, and whipped out its blade for round 2. The shadow lunged, but Jianyu dodged so fast he practically teleported behind it, anime style. Without missing a beat, Jianyu jabbed the broken bottle straight into the shadow. The shadow unleashed a flurry of slashes, but Jianyu dodged like a pro, trash-talking mid-dodge because priorities. He peppered the shadow with jabs, casually reminding it that it was basically running on low battery. The shadow shrieked like someone had stepped on its Wi-Fi router. It backed off, clearly questioning all its life choices. The man watched, baffled, wondering if Jianyu was a combat genius or just thriving on pure chaos. Jianyu declared it payback time for the shadow's previous but ambush, ready to return the favor. His victory vibe was cut short as his eyes popped wide in surprise. The shadow's tail smacked him right in the gut like karma in motion. He crashed into the wall, cursing like he just stubbed his soul. Gasping for air, he admitted he got sloppy and that the shadow had an unhealthy obsession with targeting his rear. The shadow wasn't done yet and lunged for round. Who's even counting anymore? Jianyu glanced at the terrified kids, calculating he'd survive maybe 2 more hits tops, but that wasn't exactly comforting. He considered a strategic retreat with a side of see you later, but nah, that wasn't his vibe. Clutching the bottle, he realized the shadow had 20% health left, but fear still lingered. Yep, it was one of those days. As the shadow rushed in, the man casually pointed out its busted rib like a coach giving last-minute tips. Jianyu zigzagged like Wi-Fi signals in a storm, signaling he got the memo. The shadow blinked, clearly not ready for Jianyu's sudden glitch mode sprint. Jianyu flashed a grin sharp enough to qualify as its own weapon. He weaved left and right like a laggy game character, successfully confusing both the shadow and physics. He struck the shadow's injured rib with surgical precision because listening actually paid off this time. The shadow shrieked as its health bar dipped to 18%, screaming like it just stubbed an existential toe. Realizing pain was overrated, the shadow pulled a full retreat, screaming all the way. Jianyu stood there, baffled, like, wait, I'm the scary one now? The man's alarm level spiked as the shadow zoomed past him like an unpaid bill. Connecting the dots faster than his brain could process, he shouted at Jianyu to hustle. The shadow beelined for the unconscious kids, radiating villain energy. The man flagged the obvious shadow targeting the kids while the shadow auditioned for creepiest monster of the year. The shadow zeroed in on the hiding kids, all dramatic and menacing like it had a reputation to maintain. Its mouth gaped open with pure nightmare fuel vibes, looming over the kids. The boy's eyes filled with tears, clutching the girl like a human shield he didn't sign up to be. Eyes shut, the boy braced for doom until an unexpected voice hit pause on the horror show. Enter Jianyu, veins popping like Wi-Fi bars at full strength. With Herculean effort, he swung his arm, gripping a kin like it was Excalibur. The kin spun through the air with the speed of bad decisions. Target locked, he hurled the kin straight at the shadow's menacing mug. The shadow's brain lagged, struggling to process the incoming beverage-based assault. At the last second, it dodged like its life depended on it, which, ironically, it did. The man clenched his jaw, summoning just enough energy to make one bad decision count. He launched himself like an angry missile, delivering an aerial kick with zero regard for landing strategies. The shadow howled in agony, clearly not a fan of surprise flying kicks. The kick sent the shadow soaring like a poorly launched drone, while the man crash-landed like 1-2. His health bar dipped to 15%, but hey, who needs full HP when you've got style? Coughing up blood like it was trendy, he still managed to squeeze out heroic declarations about saving the kids. The shadow shrieked like Wi-Fi just cut out mid-game. It lunged at the man, clearly craving a human snack. Right before impact, it yelped like someone yanked its Wi-Fi router. Turns out, it was Jianyu's hand. Jianyu looked like someone stole his last slice of pizza, clutching the shadow by its emo fringe. His face screamed, I'm about to end this shadow's whole career with a side of neck bites. The shadow's health bar dipped faster than phone battery on 1%. Jianyu played whack-a-mole with the shadow's head, no tokens needed. While interrogating it like an overzealous conspiracy theorist, he pinned it down and delivered a flurry of slaps powered by pure rage. The shadow's health bar nosedived like a bad stock investment. He paused mid-beatdown to ask about its weird diet, just as its chest lit up like a faulty LED. Squinting, he spotted a glowing core and mentally added "what the heck is that?" to his list of unanswered questions. He shaped his hand like he was about to karate chop existential dread itself. Jianyu jabbed his hand into the shadow, making it regret every life choice that led to this moment. The core got poked, unleashing more energy than a toddler on a sugar rush. His face practically announced, "Time's up, shadow, no words needed." He pinned it down like a wrestling champ while both of them glowed like malfunctioning glow sticks. Their auras clashed dramatically, like two Wi-Fi signals fighting for dominance. The clash ended with an explosion so extra, it yeeted the shadow's head into the void. Jianyu stood there, drenched in blood, coughing like someone who just inhaled hot sauce fumes. Suddenly, debris started wiggling like it had somewhere to be. Random objects floated around, clearly influenced by Jianyu's new dark energy aesthetic. The walls and boxes got magically reassembled, as if dark energy moonlighted as an interior designer. Even the floor got a makeover, with debris pieces crawling back like they owed rent. Meanwhile, the man and kids were out cold, probably dreaming of less chaotic days. Jianyu casually fixed his hair like he hadn't just caused an interdimensional disaster. Smirking, he basked in the glory of avenging his dignity, or, more specifically, his butt. But plot twist, his vision turned fuzzier than bad Wi-Fi. He hit the ground like someone unplugged his life support. Confused, he watched his vision pixelate like an old video buffering on 144p. Eventually, everything went black like his brain hit the shutdown button. Flames raged near a traffic light like it had personal beef with the city. Unconscious bodies were scattered as buildings and roads competed for the most flammable award. The blaze chomped down on the city center like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. Jianyu blinked into the chaos, wondering if this was the meet-up spot or if he took a wrong turn in life. His senses tingled as something felt off. Shadows popped up like they were hosting a surprise party minus the cake. Fawn-faced shadows rushed him, and his brain clocked in late, wondering, are these aliens or just really bad neighbors? He stood there like a frozen Wi-Fi signal, claws buffering toward him at full speed. Weird energy wrapped him up like cling film with attitude. His scream hit max volume as the energy tried to vacuum him like cosmic leftovers. The energy didn't just want Jianyu, it took the whole neighborhood for good measure. Poof, Jianyu and the energy disappeared like they'd been Control plus ZD out of reality. Somewhere between epic metaphors and edgy vibes, someone yelled dramatically in the shadows. Death made an entrance, leaving everyone equally confused about what it actually felt like. Jianyu groaned back to life, waving a shaky chill hand at the man pestering him about being alive. Fully awake, Jianyu mentally fist-bumped himself, thinking it was all just a weird dream. He side-eyed the defeated shadow, wondering why post-alien kill amnesia was now part of his skill set. He poked the shadow's forehead like it owed him money and activated shade eating. A grin crept in as he casually slurped the shadow like an overpowered smoothie. The man interrupted his shadow snack, and Jianyu's brain lagged, forgetting how words worked. Spotting the man's health bar at 10%, Jianyu mentally crunched numbers like a discount life insurance agent. The man tapped his shoulder like it was a casual Tuesday. The man politely requested some wall-leaning assistance like this was a team-building exercise. They both flopped down like exhausted Sims, syncing up with the wall. The man squinted at Jianyu, confirming he didn't have Night Watchman vibes. Shocked, Jianyu realized he was basically the human version of a background character. Accepting his NPC fate, Jianyu confessed he wasn't a Night Watchman. The man doubled down, assuring Jianyu wasn't one because, clearly, that job had an entry exam he flunked. The man chuckled, throwing shade like it was free, while Jianyu questioned if memory loss was contagious. The man backpedaled with a laugh, tossing in a "you're pretty" like it fixed everything. The man laughed through coughs, claiming soy sauce could defeat aliens like he'd discovered a life hack. Jianyu just stared, wondering if laughter was a symptom. Jianyu questioned if night guards had a built-in comedy chip since this guy found his near-death experience hilarious. The man pried into Jianyu's life, asking about college. Jianyu gave vague answers, mentally filing it under None of Your Business 101. The man casually asked if Jianyu majored in liberal arts or martial arts, like they were old friends. Jianyu blinked, wondering when they got so chummy. The man decided Jianyu had to be in martial arts since liberal arts folks couldn't survive mediocrity. Jianyu processed this unexpected roast in silence. The man shifted gears, asking for a cigarette like this was a casual coffee break. Jianyu blinked twice, recalibrating. Jianyu dug out a lone pokey stick, offering it like it was premium tobacco. The man was mildly confused but shrugged. Desperation had no standards. Jianyu snapped the pokey stick with the seriousness of splitting the atom. He handed the plain half to the man, who looked at it like it owed him money and told Jianyu to eat it himself. Jianyu explained he had more pokey sticks, but battle turned them into pokey crumbs. The man sighed, clearly regretting asking. They sat in defeated silence, munching on pokey sticks like war veterans reminiscing over lost snacks. Mid-chew, the man asked if this was Jianyu's first alien solo. Jianyu nodded, as if battling extraterrestrials was part of an internship. The man's disbelief floated upward with his gaze, probably expecting an alien Yelp review. Staring at the moon, the man mused about martial artists having all the fun while he was stuck being emotionally fragile, like cosmic background noise with commitment issues. Jianyu suggested saving energy, but the man preferred draining Jianyu's patience instead. The man compared civil servants' willpower to cotton wool, plentiful but useless in a crisis. He chuckled darkly, wondering how fluff could fight tidal waves of doom. Jianyu asked if the man regretted not picking an easier major like avoiding death 101. The man's fist clenched dramatically, as if his regrets owed him money. Standing like it was a TED Talk moment, he confessed his life choices were questionable at best. He yelled about his dream life: office work, flirting, and minimal existential crises until bad decisions took him from office banter to shadow slaying. The man sobbed like he'd lost a Wi-Fi signal. Jianyu patted him, suggesting less crying, more surviving. Calming down, the man assured him the rescue signal was sent. Help was allegedly en route, probably stuck in traffic. Jianyu spotted an unconscious kid clutching a watch and had the audacity to look concerned. The kid's grip tightened like the watch held Wi-Fi passwords. Jianyu tried to be a hero, but the man clung to him like an overprotective mom, insisting they bond until backup arrived. Jianyu's face screamed, "Let me go," while thinking the man's small talk was deadlier than aliens. The man's laughter echoed like an unskippable ad. He kept teasing Jianyu about his bravery, unknowingly auditioning for the role of most annoying sidekick. Jianyu's forced smile screamed send help while the man recapped the battle like an overenthusiastic sports commentator. Grinning like it was casual small talk, the man asked Jianyu to pass an apology to the supernatural tech head, basically admitting he flunked at monsters slaying 101. Jianyu stood there, marinating in the discomfort of his own lie. The awkwardness leveled up when the man added shoutouts to Deputy Director Huang, thanking her for life lessons on humility and humanity's survival, cringe included. Jianyu, desperate for an escape route, suggested jotting it all down later or, after the man healed and could do it himself. The man paused, probably questioning Jianyu's notebook-based rescue plan. Shaking his head, the man explained these heartfelt confessions had been renting space in his chest for too long, he just needed a listening ear. He sighed like the universe personally offended him. Nostalgia hit as he name-dropped Northern Watch Academy, wishing for a time machine and zero responsibilities. Out of nowhere, he craved more Pocky's spicy stick flavor, as if that existed anywhere outside his imagination. Jianyu roasted his taste buds, pointing out that spicy stick Pockies were about as real as unicorns. Melancholy mode activated, the man agreed and let his fictional snack dreams die quietly. Cue ominous vibes, dark energy rolled in like an unwanted group project. The man guessed it was a night patrol officer, clearly a master of obvious observations. Jianyu played it cool but internally threw a mental party because, finally, back up. He casually grabbed his groceries, priorities intact. Then he just walked off like it was a regular Tuesday. The man blinked, wondering if Jianyu was seriously ghosting him mid-crisis. Jianyu confirmed its solo mission mode, activated. The man sighed again, because apparently, that's his brand now. Slapping on a smile, he wished Jianyu a safe trip, like they weren't in the middle of a disaster. Jianyu gave a nod, the universal sign for cool, got it. Dramatic silence did its thing while the man's head drooped like a sad houseplant. Jianyu kept walking, totally not looking back, while the man slumped so hard his necklace staged an escape. Jianyu flexed his powers, summoning dark energy like ordering an Uber. Right before leaving, curiosity won, he glanced back. Rescue squad rolled in, radioing about their new find, one night patrol officer, plus bonus kids. Jianyu observed the med check parade like it was live-streamed drama. The health bar hovered stubbornly at 10%, clearly not leveling up today. The officer shook his head, giving the universal bad news signal. Jianyu's eyes did the cartoon-wide thing, surprised despite everything leading up to this moment. The man's body crumbled like expired pixels, and his health bar dipped to 9%. Jianyu stared clueless, as the health bar kept nosediving. His brain short-circuited, wondering why modern medicine wasn't pulling its weight. Officers scooped up the kids while the man continued his dramatic vanishing act. The dark energy, clearly on a schedule, started blocking Jianyu's view. Jianyu reached out, watching officers salute like it was a bittersweet graduation. The health bar flatlined at a solid 0%, game over. A faint smile clung to his face as the light did its dramatic fade out. That smile became Jianyu's final mental screenshot. Jianyu wrestled with the dark energy, mentally screaming, "Hold up!" The dark energy ignored him like an unbothered elevator door, sealing his view. Boom, back to reality, no loading screen needed. Standing like a Wi-Fi antenna, Jianyu earned confused stares from strangers. Bystanders mumbled, debating if he was rehearsing for an invisible play. Jianyu gazed skyward, eyes dripping with discount melancholy. A monitor nearby played a motivational PSA for overachievers. The man flashed a blue pill like it was a superhero gadget, preaching perseverance. The pep talk escalated fast, gulp down compound number 3 for max stats, with a casual 90% death chance, all for the great Shounen nation. Officers lined up, receiving the classic "your sacrifice won't be forgotten" speech, complete with bold advancement and anti-strange being goals. The man hyped them up, claiming they transcended basic human mode, thanks to the Night Observation Department's glow-up program. An elevator dinged its way to the 5th floor. Inside stood Jianyu, radiating hot mess energy. His brain looped the earlier scene, questioning if the guy really pieced out like that. The doors opened, and Jianyu shuffled out like a broken NPC. Walking the hallway, he replayed how the guy went from stand-up comedian to gone. The realization hit the guy just wanted a final chat buddy before clocking out. Unlocking his door, Jianyu mulled over the lack of fanfare, no flowers, no claps, just a quiet exit. Doors swung open, and he stepped into his apartment's void. Ordinary or not, that guy had secured permanent residency in Jianyu's memory. Jianyu rubbed his temples, trying to evict the lingering thoughts rent-free in his head. Exhausted, he sighed, deciding a shower and sleep were the only things on his to-do list. Glancing at his reflection, he was shocked his health bar was still at 55%, considering he felt like a drained phone at 20%. Another sigh escaped him, realizing that guy was out there vibing at 10%, while he struggled with over half left. Talk about stamina goals. Grabbing food, it hit him working out wasn't cutting it. Maybe his willpower needed a gym membership too. It clicked, his willpower was lagging like bad Wi-Fi. His food hit the floor as a wild "where are the eggs?" ambushed him out of nowhere. Enter Lu Yaoyao, complaining his phone was MIA and demanding to know if he raided a chicken coop instead of buying eggs. Panicking, he hid his bloody jacket, mumbling something about New Year crowds being the real villains here. Mid-excuse, he froze. How did she even have his house key? She casually dropped that Uncle Lee gave her the key because his takeout habits screamed needs supervision. His anxiety spiked as she scanned him like a suspicious package, asking if he'd been mugged by life itself. Dodging the question like a pro, he suggested bedtime before Uncle Lee started writing fanfiction about them. She wasn't having it. Grabbed his arm, demanded answers. He deflected, claiming hunger emergencies required instant noodles. She yanked harder, revealing his jacket's tragic tear like a plot twist. Her face flipped from annoyed to concerned mom mode real quick. His hood slipped, exposing battle damage. Her eyes screamed, "Explain, now." He panicked, blurting out an egg excuse. She ignored it, grilling him harder. He claimed he'd gone nowhere, but she latched on like Wi-Fi to a strong signal. No truth, no release. Cracking under pressure, he claimed he heroically stopped a robbery, adding she shouldn't pity him, pity the guy he totally wrecked, to the point even the cops needed a DNA test. She stared, unimpressed, while he reenacted his epic moves, boasting the dude was now unrecognizable, basically a glitch in the human matrix. Mid-brag, she shut him down with a surprise face touch, hitting him with emotional damage. Her eyes screamed concern louder than words ever could. Silence hit like an awkward pause in a group chat. He was stunned. His brain short-circuited. Did she actually buy his nonsense? Meanwhile, his forgotten food mourned on the floor, untouched and cold. She kept her hand there like it paid rent. Out of nowhere, she softly asked if it hurt, weaponizing tenderness. Flustered, he claimed it didn't hurt, basically a scratch, while subtly begging her to call it a night. She stared, silently roasting his soul with her gaze. She turned to leave, casually threatening to snitch to Uncle Lee about his midnight brawls, leaving him in shock. He scrambled to stop her, rebranding it as righteous heroism, but she doubled down. No snitching, no peace. Jianyu dramatically collapsed, claiming he was too weak to continue, leaving Lu Yaoyao scrambling to check if he was dying or just being extra. Lu Yaoyao suggested a hospital trip, but Jianyu dismissed it, bragging about Uncle Lee's stash of better-than-hospital meds from the Night Watch office. Realizing Jianyu just wanted her to play nurse, Lu Yaoyao called him out, but he grinned, dubbed her Dr. Lu, and thanked her like she'd volunteered. Minutes into treatment, Jianyu whined that he somehow looked worse, as if bandages had upgraded his injuries. Wrapped like a discount mummy, Jianyu complained Lu Yaoyao had gone overboard with the bandages. Ignoring his whining, Lu Yaoyao smacked his arm, asking if he'd show off again. He swore he'd retire from hero stunts immediately. She demanded he swear on it, but Jianyu cheekily replied he didn't. Annoyed, she raised a hand to smack him, prompting Jianyu to backpedal, claiming it's human nature to join the fun, but next time, he'd just watch. She made him repeat it like a school pledge. While getting whacked, Jianyu confirmed he'd stick to spectating from now on, like an innocent bystander with popcorn. As Lu Yaoyao left, Jianyu casually suggested she could stay over since his bed was spacious, clearly fishing for a reaction. She responded with a mature, time-honored gesture of sticking out her tongue. Lu Yaoyao exited, leaving Jianyu and his oversized ego behind. Alone in the newfound silence, Jianyu flopped onto the sofa like it owed him comfort. His brain finally booted up, recalling he was supposed to pass on a message about guarding the Northern Watch Academy. Mid-thought, he froze, hit by a realization like a mental slap. He shot upright as the realization hit harder than Lu Yaoyao's slaps. Panic set in. He'd never even gotten the guy's name. Rookie mistake. Meanwhile, some ominous orb glowed ominously because that's what ominous orbs do. The orb ditched two characters and spotlighted the third like it was hosting reality TV eliminations. Suddenly, a system popped up, flexing Jianyu's new Shadow Strike skill and shadow points, even waiving the arm fracture fee like it was a loyalty discount. Night had fully clocked in, making it officially too late for nonsense o'clock. Jianyu pondered if mutant kills logged automatically or if he needed to go full shadow vacuum mode for the system to take notes. His eye lit up like a sci-fi gadget, probably trying to be cool. He ditched the deep thoughts to check out his new Shadow Assault skill, which basically promised sneak attacks with bonus damage ninja style. Ready to test it, he stretched dramatically, like shadow punches required pre-game yoga. Brimming with confidence, he unleashed the Shadow Assault, or at least tried to. Nothing happened, not even a dramatic breeze. He stomped like a toddler denied candy, accusing the system of being a scam. Then it hit him, maybe the skill needed an actual target, not just thin air. Defeated, he slumped onto the sofa, declaring it a future problem for future Jianyu. A spin the wheel popped up, and Jianyu picked a random character like it was the lottery. The system proudly declared him a rogue, basically a pro at hide and seek with a side of silent takedowns. He muttered that the system was a cheater, whining about how it glorified shadow hunting when daylight clearly deserved more hype. The system dropped a plot twist: his shadow could now morph with him. Jianyu poked the notification, curious if this was just another flashy skill. A perks list popped up: surprise rewards, stealth mode maxed out, shadow realm energy free, and decapitation? No biggie, just a health deduction. Casual. His eyes sparkled, borderline drooling, convinced he'd unlocked cheat code levels of invincibility, decapitation, immunity? Legendary. Scrolling further, reality hit: sure, no instant death, but losing 99% health felt like surviving only to suffer dramatically. Offended, he ranted that dropping to 1% health was basically emotional damage, might as well let him die with dignity. Shrugging off his complaints, he decided to flex the skill anyway, summoning his shadow like it owed him rent. The floor burped out a puddle of shadow goop. The goop pulled itself together, striking a perfect Jianyu silhouette. He dramatically pointed a finger like he was casting a spell. The shadow copied him, clearly rebellious, using the opposite hand. Their fingers met ET vibes, but make it spooky. The shadow melted and slid into his arm like it was signing a lease. His face twitched with concern as the shadow crept up like it paid rent late. Alarm bells rang when he realized he was now half shadow, half confused. In no time, he was fully wrapped like a burrito, but make it goth. He checked himself out, mildly impressed, wondering if this edgy look came with bonus cool points. He inhaled dramatically, because why not? He shot off like a caffeinated squirrel. He zoomed so fast, he turned into a human motion blur. Furniture rebelled, flying everywhere while he flaunted his new turbo mode. Out of nowhere, he casually lifted something heavy with one hand because flexing is a lifestyle. Oh, it was his bed. He bench pressed it like a gym bro showing off on leg day. Suddenly, a 100 kilograms hammer appeared, because apparently, physics took a break. He smacked himself with it, testing his defense like a very questionable science experiment. He cackled like a maniac, fully convinced he was now unstoppable. A neighbor's shout from below broke his ego trip, demanding he tone down his chaos. Reality check: he powered down, mumbling about keeping it low-key after flipping beds and self-hammering. Jianyu spotted the rogue position flashing like it owed him money, so he clicked it out of pure curiosity. The system casually dropped that he was halfway a rogue but hadn't gone full rogue yet. Full activation? All his risks? Oh yeah? Did he still want it? A pop-up appeared, basically screaming, high risk, high reward, like a motivational poster with commitment issues. Jianyu stared at the screen, thinking unlocking a new position sounded like a solid flex. He debated risks were red flags, but rewards? Definitely green flags. His brain played ping-pong with the options. Before he could decide, the yes button freaked out like it had a mind of its own. Black goo oozed from the screen, and Jianyu freaked out, swearing he hadn't signed up for this mess yet. The goo wasn't waiting for confirmation, it swallowed him whole like a clingy ex. The floor shook dramatically, as if auditioning for a disaster movie, while Jianyu's fate remained a mystery. Out of nowhere, his room lit up like a budget-friendly rave visible from the next block. The room finally stopped shaking, probably tired of its own theatrics. Jianyu strolled back in, casual as ever, with shadowy steam puffing from his feet like he'd walked through a villain origin story. His body got an upgrade, and the system proudly announced he was now a hunter, no take-backs. The system cheerfully warned, hunt well or die trying, but reassured him he was basically built for this. Oh, and here's some fine print. Rule 1: no guns, no bows, no cheat codes. Rule 2: the edgier his reputation, the better the loot drops. Lastly, the system casually flexed: even gods can't ghost you. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, don't forget to subscribe and like the video.